All right, we're live. What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the Rated R for Wrestling channel. Got my buddy WrestlemaniacUK right here, collaborating with me on this Royal Rumble surprise entrant for the men.
Can't wait to kind of get through this, man. And thank you for having me here on your channel.
Yeah, of course, buddy.
Yeah, it's great to collab. You know, we're just saying off camera that it's good to collab with other people, especially at this time where, you know, everyone's locked inside their house. And, you know, Royal Rumble is one of probably the best pay-per-view that we get every year in terms of just pure excitement for fans. So being able to talk about it in this capacity with you is brilliant. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's gonna be good stuff. We're gonna go. We got a total of 9 superstars, male superstars that we got right here. You know, each of our own ideas as to who we think may be like a surprise entrant. You know, some of these are kind of off the wall here and there. So you know, a little far-fetched, a little bit of rumor, a little bit of dirt sheet diving a little bit in some of these picks, but hopefully majority of them turn out, because if they do, it's going to be really, really good stuff at the Royal Rumble. Now, I would have to say, out of the 9 we have, likely winners of the match, out of those 9, slim pick in there. I don't know how they can go with some of the guys actually winning the match. I would say maybe off the top of my head, probably like 2 or 3 maybe have a shot to actually win. But majority in all 9 except one wild card most likely probably will show up in the match. So let's get into it. But before, I want to remind you guys, you know, you're watching this on my channel, make sure to subscribe, WrestlemaniacUK. Make sure to subscribe to his channel as well. And yeah, let's jump right into this and get on the surprise entrance for the men's Royal Rumble. Remember, the Royal Rumble starts this Sunday, so I'm assuming they'll go the same route with the women's going first, and then later on to end the show, probably the men's. It's been the formula for the past 3 years, so we'll see what's going on. So the first person on here that we're picking as a surprise entrant is one that you brought up to me, Brock Lesnar.
Yes, so obviously Brock Lesnar is currently not under contract to the WWE. However, you know, we all know WWE just recently got a big fat check from Peacock, and they weren't short of money before that anyway. So I think Lesnar is a shoe-in to make a possibly big return. We know that as well, that on WWE Backstage tomorrow, I believe it is, they're going to announce number 30 in the Royal Rumble, and I think it's going to be someone, one of 2 people, John Cena or Lesnar. Someone that, you know, a casual crowd member could kind of associate with as well, since it's going to be on TV. And to be fair, I think Lesnar is, well, let me get this out of the way now. He's my pick to win the Rumble, the men's Rumble.
Hot take.
No, 100%. Because listen, he's got history with Drew McIntyre as champion, if Drew is going to stay champion. And then Roman Reigns, of course, over there with Paul Heyman. I think he's got 2 ready-made stories, you know, already there. He's going to be someone that doesn't need to show up every week to build to that. So, yeah, Lesnar, a surprise to come back in the Royal Rumble. And for me, that very much could be the winner as well.
Well, that's an interesting tape. First off, Big Boy Facts Johnny in the chat. What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Make sure I'm going to put WrestlemaniacUK's YouTube channel in the description in a little bit, so make sure you subscribe to his channel as well if you're in the chat. But what's up, Big Boy Johnny? Yeah, Lesnar's interesting. I'm interested that you said that you think that they're going to do it on TV beforehand, announce it number 30. Now, I'm not a huge fan of them announcing number 30 before.
Neither am I.
Because they've done it different ways over the years. Like sometimes you win a match to get it or something like that, right? So it should be, right? Now, that's interesting that you say Lesnar being number 30 or John Cena being number 30 announced on TV. It's an interesting take by you, because you are right. That might get people kind of like interested that, you know, are outside WWE a little bit casual to come back in and kind of watch just to see if he wins it. But I think Lesnar's, he's a pretty much a lot of people's pick to actually come back and show up here. And him winning it, I think if he wins it, he's going, I think he has to go after Reigns after that, right? Because he does have the beef with McIntyre from WrestleMania prior, but for them to go back to the well with that, I don't think they will. Especially with McIntyre taking on Goldberg, you know, at the Royal Rumble. We got, you know, hopefully that we have if Lesnar does win, because if he's in it, I mean, that's one hell of a shot of this man to win it. Be honest with you. Now, I have a Royal Rumble prediction video I put out a couple weeks ago. Check it out on my channel so you guys can watch that. But Lesnar was on that list as one of the favorites to win. I had him tied with Edge. Edge already declaring, so he's kind of a favorite at this point too as well. But Brock Lesnar showing up, I mean, yeah, you can't really bet against him because there is no Drew McIntyre this year to knock him out. So that's actually pretty interesting. But Brock Lesnar is the first surprise entrant. We'll start off with like the more obvious one first, right? That's one of the more people say the most. So the next one on the list right here is we have Damien Priest, an NXT superstar that, you know, had his match against Karrion Kross in NXT New Year's Evil, lost it in pretty handily fashion from the bigger guy in Karrion Kross. He's obviously the more money maker, but there was rumors obviously before that match happened that he was going to be brought up, Damien Priest, to SmackDown, but to be thrown into the Kevin Owens Roman Reigns angle, and that was kind of axed last minute. So him showing up on the main roster is like it's a foregone conclusion at this point. He's gonna show up. And the Rumble, they like to use NXT guys to come in and fill up that Rumble a little bit. So we may see a couple guys. We could see Adam Cole come back as well and be in the Rumble again. We could see that. We've seen that pass with Matt Riddle and guys like that. So I think Damien Priest shows up in this Rumble, and he has to have a decent showing. He has no shot whatsoever winning. Let's say we'll come off right now and just say this man has no shot whatsoever of winning the Royal Rumble, but he definitely, I think it's a 98% chance that this man will be in the Rumble and he will have a solid showing because he's a guy who's probably going to go directly to SmackDown because Daniel Bryan's on the creative team, writing team. He likes to push these guys. He's calling for more NXT call-ups. So it makes a lot of sense. Him showing up, I think he have a good showing and then eventually move over to the SmackDown roster and probably go into a mid-card role over there.
Yeah, I think that's a really good shout. Damien Priest looks like his time on NXT is done, and he's coming up to the main roster. It'll be interesting to see where he lands. I guess maybe SmackDown. But yeah, I think he could definitely be someone that features in the Royal Rumble and has a good showing. We've seen him on the main roster, I think a year or two ago when he was part of Team NXT at Survivor Series.
Yeah, I believe so. Yep.
He didn't look good that night. I remember him getting eliminated from the match pretty quickly. But Damien Priest is definitely a good shout for being a surprise in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, definitely. Damien Priest showing up. It's good to have like those new guys come up, and if you're gonna bring him immediately to the main roster, he has to show out a little bit in the Rumble, have a couple eliminations, or you know how everybody jumps into the Rumble hot, does their finisher on everybody in the ring. It could be a thing like that, where he does all that. But let's get to the next guy on the list, and we have Jay White. This is probably the biggest wild card on the list. You brought this one up to me. I'm a little bit hesitant to bring this one up, but you went all the way in with this one because this is kind of like a rumor mill one right there.
Yeah. I mean, I remember you were reporting it as well as I did once. Jay White, it was said that he was done with New Japan. I remember your video on that, and we talked about that a bit. Very, very interesting with Jay White because everything looks like he's done with New Japan after what's that show they do, New Year's resolution or something? What's the date, the one after Wrestle Kingdom, the next day?
That is
New Year's something. New Year's Dash.
Yeah, New Year's Dash. That's what it is, New Year's Dash, yeah.
So yeah, the minute that he appeared on that, and he hasn't appeared since. I've heard that playing cards and other kind of merchandise that Jay White would have been on, which they've manufactured for Jay White to be on as well, had been removed in Japan. Apparently, he does still have like some New Japan equivalent house show dates out there. He's being advertised for some, but other than that, we haven't heard or seen from him. And I just think that he could turn up. He really could turn up. They give him similar to that AJ Styles treatment, that push straight onto the main roster. It'll be very interesting if he stays on the main roster, or he might go down to NXT post Rumble. I don't know. Like you said, there's not much we can say on this because it is a complete wild card from someone that's not even in the company. But boy, oh boy, the reaction if he did show up, like crazy.
It would be nuts. Like I believe there's not gonna be anybody in attendance, correct? Not that I know of. They're gonna do the Thunderdome thing again for this, which is kind of a letdown for the actual event itself. But one thing, New Japan has like the strangest merchandise because they're gonna have playing cards with Jay White on it. I mean, that's some funny stuff. They have some really strange merchandise over there. But yeah, correct. I see him. I don't know. For me, he seems more of like definitely an NXT guy. because I don't think he carries the weight that AJ Styles did when he showed up, right? Because AJ Styles carried a lot of weight, a lot of weight with him coming in from the amount of years he's been out there, and how how highly touted AJ Styles was at the time and has been. Well, there's no disrespect to Jay White, but I don't think it just hasn't been there that type of like inkling to have him in there, but it would be one hell of a surprise. Now, the good thing is that they don't have any fans, so if a lot of people are like don't know who he is, that actually kind of helps out, right?
Exactly.
It does.
Exactly.
So they could pump in a ton of like fake crowd noise. Yeah. Like I always like the crowd noise is funny to me because like when Roman Reigns is out there on SmackDown and the crowd noise is a bunch of boos. If there was real fans, they would not be booing Roman Reigns.
They'll be cheering him by now.
Yeah, they would be cheering him because everybody loves Roman Reigns in his current form right now.
Yeah.
But it'd be pretty interesting if he does end up showing up. Like that's one of those ones you show up I think earlier in the match, so you can have a long run in it, similar to AJ Styles, right? AJ Styles was like number 4 or 5 when he came in.
Number 3, AJ Styles came out.
And Roman was the only guy in the ring, and then he went like the long haul through the match. I think that's like probably the best way to book it. But this is a big one. It's a big wild card. We'll see if it happens, but it'll probably be the talk of the night if Jay White shows up in WWE at the Royal Rumble.
100%. Yeah.
Let's get to the next guy on here, and it's Finn Balor. There's another one that you brought up to me for Finn Balor. Now he's the current NXT champion, so it's a bit more of a long shot, but I could see it happening just because he's been in Rumbles before. Like, so do you just kind of completely like take him out of the equation now because he's in NXT, he's NXT champion? It's kind of interesting, yeah.
Yeah, like you said, to me, this is a bit of a non-brainer. I might even be a bit disappointed if Finn Balor doesn't show up, because NXT champions have shown up before. We saw Andrade in it. We saw Johnny Gargano even. We saw Adam Cole on 2 occasions. So it's not a thing that NXT champions don't show up. They do show up. And furthermore, Finn Balor has been on the main roster before. He's been in Royal Rumbles before as well, like you said. And apart from the superstar spectacle, did you watch that the other day?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch that. No, it wasn't.
You're not missing nothing.
No,
don't
I wasn't
worry.
missing much, right?
So I watched it. I just had it on in the background. Finn Balor he wrestled the first match.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was brilliant to see Finn Balor in the Thunderdome, because remember, he's been wrestling in the Performance Center, in the Capital Center, or whatever they call it. He hasn't actually been in the Thunderdome, so it was amazing to kind of just see him there. And I think they should just do it again, just to have him back with the main roster guys he's familiar with. I think it's very easy to do in terms of a surprise. I think they should definitely include him.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit... Okay, so last year Charlotte wins the Rumble and she goes on for the NXT Women's Championship. Vince is not going to do that with the men, right? So if anybody wins the Royal Rumble, the men's, they're not going for Finn Balor's NXT Championship. So it makes sense for him to be in the match because he can go for the, Universal or WWE Championship after that. So it makes sense, right? Because nobody's going to win the Royal Rumble and try to challenge Finn for that title. Vince is not going to do it, right?
I've got one theory on that, though.
Okay, go ahead.
AJ Styles has been in red hot form.
Okay.
He's going to have Omos helping him in the Royal Rumble. We all know that. AJ Styles could win the Royal Rumble and go down to NXT. AJ Styles has done it all. Let's be honest. That could be something he goes and does. And the reason I think particularly, because obviously on the other show, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, we have Bullet Club.
That is true.
If they want to do some type of AJ Styles Finn Balor Bullet Club stuff for the NXT Championship. I mean, I may be dreaming here, but it's possible.
That right there is like some tinfoil hat conspiracy theory stuff going on right there, because that could happen, but it's so like out of the box. It's something you would beg Vince McMahon to do, like, please on your knees, please Vince, do it.
Can't you tell? That's what I'm doing already.
Yeah, it's something like that. Like you would beg Vince McMahon, like, please make this happen, and something that he'd probably just laugh at you, pal, there, throw you to the side. So that's total possibility that all that could happen. But it'd be pretty interesting. But like, I just don't see, like, I can't ever envision Vince McMahon saying, okay, the guy who wins like the biggest match of the year basically is gonna go down and face NXT. But like they did it with the women. I think it's
different.
You're
right.
It's different, but it would be awesome to see that happen. I mean, but that'd be the awesome thing. But let's get to the next guy on this list, and it's John Cena, the man you already know. You can't see him. I come out with a video for my, what was it? I believe it was my my NXT review, and it had a talk about John Cena in there because Triple H went on Sports Illustrated, had an interview, and he said that he basically like alluding to the fact that John Cena loves the business so much, loves wrestling. It's WrestleMania time, and of course, WrestleMania in Tampa. He lives in Tampa. That if he wants to show up, he will, and I think he will. I mean, I just don't think. Okay, so WrestleMania again, 2 nights. gonna have live fans, about 20,000 people in attendance for both nights, each night respectively. So they need 4 headliners like they did last year. Remember, it was 2 nights last year. They had 2 big matches on the first night, 2 big matches on the second night. Will they go cinematic? I don't know. But who does he face if he does show up? I don't really think he has a shot to win the Rumble, but I do think he has a shot to actually be in it, or something, or maybe just show up at the pay-per-view itself and attack and confront somebody. Doesn't have to be in the Rumble match, but I do think he'll make an entrance in the Rumble match. They got to make this Rumble match as star-studded as possible because they have no fans, and that's why I believe that John Cena will be in this match, because it's John Cena. He just can't stay away. So you know how John Cena is, and it makes a lot of sense. See him in the ring with Brock Lesnar, see him in the ring with Randy Orton, Edge. It'll be good stuff, and maybe conversation with AJ Styles in the ring. It'd be cool stuff. So I do think John Cena has a shot to show up in this Rumble.
Yeah, like we said earlier, Fox are going to announce number 30 in the Men's Rumble. Yep. To me, John Cena or Lesnar are probably the best candidates for the big announcement of who's going to take that position. And with this new TV deal, like, we know they're going to try and make probably the next 3 to 4 months really star-studded. I won't go as far as say the creative goods, because we know WWE and their creative's a bit shaky. Yeah. But definitely they're going to try star-stud the roster for the next 3 to 4 months, definitely lead into WrestleMania. So, John Cena can definitely come back, have a nice spot in the Rumble. Obviously, I don't think he'll win it, but then, turn up on Raw or SmackDown within the next week or so and kind of start to map out what his WrestleMania is going to look like. Yeah,
and I think in the same vein as Lesnar, if they don't win, they'll probably show up on the opposite show of the winner, right? Because it takes away from the winner at that point, because if that person's going to show up on the show, they're going to show up to face the top guy, and you would just flip-flop. So if the SmackDown guy wins it, you would have him show up on Raw and vice versa. So that's why I see that going. It makes more sense that way, probably. But yeah, WWE creative, that's a gambit right there. That's like, you don't know what's going on. You throw something out and you don't know how it's going to come out in the end with WWE creative, especially on Monday Night Raws. So next person, and it's one that I brought up, and it's a bit of a long shot, and it's kind of in the same vein as like Jay White, but not as like rumor millish, because Jay White's from another company. But Shane McMahon, we haven't seen Shane McMahon since Raw Underground kind of just abruptly vanished into thin air, right? Most likely Dabo Kato will be in the Rumble. It's one of those guys that you think he'll probably go in and make a bit of a showing, clear out the ring, because they always have those they call it the diesel spot, where the big guy comes in, clears out the Rumble. That's the worst spot. That's the spot I hate the most, because I love when the Rumble's like packed, like it's a bunch of guys.
Full,
it makes it feel like a different type of matchup. When there's only like 3 guys, it feels more like a triple threat. But I think Shane may show up here. Remember, he is still the best in the world, right? Because he won that trophy. That means absolutely nothing. And he could show up because we haven't seen him since. I mean, he's still working with the company, obviously, in a backstage role. And maybe he comes out there. He could even, if he doesn't show up to actually be in the match, maybe he comes out with Dabo Kato, because they were really hyping up Dabo Kato the entire time they were doing Raw Underground until he ran to Braun Strowman, because remember, Braun Strowman dropped him. But yeah, I can see Shane coming in and just being a bit of a disruptor and maybe doing something crazy, most likely getting injured somehow, taking a nasty bump on his head like he normally does. But like I said, they need people to fill this Rumble out because there are no fans. So they got to make it very, very entertaining. And I think they're going to throw a bunch of stuff against the wall and just see what sticks. And Shane could be one of those things they throw up against the wall.
You know what? That's a really good shout. And in my head, I think there's always someone like this, like you said, Shane McMahon, for whatever reason. Some people I've seen have rumored maybe Rikishi is going to be in the Royal Rumble to put Jay Uso's head straight against all this head of the table stuff. It could be, so that would be interesting. And even with you just saying it, I've just had another little fantasy booking moment in my head. Because imagine Omos is in the Royal Rumble, and we've seen the relationship before with Raw Underground with Shane McMahon and Omos. Those guys were like buddies, but like Omos has now gone off with AJ Styles. Imagine Shane McMahon comes in not a wrestling capacity, but it's to introduce Dabo Kato. Like Dabo Kato is now his new Omos, and we get a square off between Dabo Kato and Omos in the ring. Like that would be brilliant. So yeah, I think Shane McMahon's definitely one of those guys. He loves a stunt and all of that kind of stuff. He loves a big moment, so yeah, we could get him in the Rumble.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah, because you tend to forget that Omos was kind of like the guy at the door for Raw Underground, right? He was like the bouncer for the club that was Raw Underground, and Davo Kato was just like the fighter on the inside. So that's an interesting take right there. You're right about that. Maybe you know, Shane McMahon shows up just to lure almost away from AJ Styles, because AJ Styles and Shane McMahon didn't have quite an interesting feud a few WrestleManias back.
That's true.
So there's a couple interesting things they can go with it. But Shane McMahon, I see him showing up there. In what capacity is unknown, but I just feel like, you know, they got to pull out a lot of stops at this Rumble, because again, it's the I liken it to the biggest show of the year. For me, it's my favorite event, and it tends to be the most entertaining and most like unpredictable, and the one you kind of wait for. WrestleMania is kind of the ones you expect to come. You kind of more or less know what's going to go down. But the Rumble is something special, so I always feel like they got to really show out as much as they possibly can, even more than WrestleMania, because WrestleMania sells itself. The card,
literally.
In the end, the card really doesn't matter, right? For Mania, like it's kind of like the card is
there. People buy their tickets months in advance for Mania, not knowing what the card is.
Yeah, and the only thing we know about the WrestleMania months in advance, something Meltzer said on the dirt sheet, right? Like that's the only thing. That's the only thing you know by then. Like, oh, rumored WrestleMania something main event. That's all you know.
Yeah.
So Royal Rumble is something that you really gotta show out for, and I feel like they need to treat it more like it's the most crucial, important show of the year, because it is. It is. Yeah. It's the most crucial, important show of the year. They gotta treat it more like that, and really, really shock the system with the Royal Rumble and really shake things up before WrestleMania. But let's get to the next person, and this is one that you brought up, Jimmy Uso.
Yeah, so Jimmy Uso he's been on the shelf for a very long time with injury. I believe that he is expected back around now-ish. So yeah, why not just slot him in the Rumble? I think that quite possibly he might even come back earlier on during the night, during Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens in the Last Man Standing match. You know, Jey Uso will probably interfere in that match. Kevin Owens will probably take him out, and maybe Jimmy Uso is another, you know, someone that comes out of the woodwork, out of nothing, to put a stop to Kevin Owens and kind of aligns with the rest of the bloodline. But yeah, I think why wouldn't we see Jimmy Uso in the Rumble if he's fit and healthy and ready to go?
Yeah, I don't see why not. He's been the kind of the missing piece, right? To like the whole, you know, tribal chief, head of the family type of deal, right? Because he showed up at Hell in a Cell, and that was like an emotional moment. He got taken out by Roman, and he's just been gone since then. I don't know if he's like not cleared or they're just waiting, like they're waiting, and this could be the spot they're waiting for to have him come out in the Rumble, and maybe him and his brother team up, and because I'm dying for them to just make the kind of trinity between all three guys, right? The family, that's what I want, because it feels like Roman right now feels like a crime boss, head of the family type thing, right? Because when they have him backstage, when he sits down and he's looking like, you know how he sits down, that is like the crime boss look right there, like you know, stuff like that's what I'm looking for. That's awesome stuff. And the guy they're missing is Jimmy, because it's the boss and it's too muscle, and they're both his cousins. The family thing plays in, and again, the rumor was Rock Roman at WrestleMania. It's not gonna happen. It's gonna happen when they have enough fans where they could pack a stadium 80, 90,000
in LA.
In LA, exactly, right? Because it's the biggest market they could do it in, and he's there. He's a movie star, so it makes more sense. So you know, but right now they could ride this whole thing out as the crime family kind of syndicate that they have going on. But yeah, Jimmy Uso, I've been waiting for him to come back for a while, but that's a good pick by you for a guy that like throws a wrench kind of in the Royal Rumble and that whole storyline going forward, because it'd be pretty interesting to see how that ends up going forward. The next person on the list is another one you brought up to me, which was Velveteen Dream, a guy with a little bit of baggage.
Yes, so please do not shoot me down in the comments. This is a very controversial pick, but at the same time, WWE like controversy. He hasn't really been on TV in NXT, and I think that's because of, you know, the press around him. And the NXT crowd being usually that kind of more of a diehard crowd. They don't want anything to do with him. Now, I think putting him in the Royal Rumble is strictly an experiment. Can we put him in this match and the main roster fans, because they believe are two different sorts of fans, like this guy, or they don't know what he did in you know, his past? You see what I mean?
Yeah, like an ignorance is bliss kind of thing when he goes.
Exactly. So, you know, they clearly still rate Velveteen Dream, because if this was anyone else, they lose their job on the spot. They know this guy has still got bags of charisma and ability. They are just being very careful with how they use him, though. They brought him back at NXT. He got involved in a feud with Kushida and Ciampa. There was a lot of negative press around why is he back on TV. I think they may just use this as an experiment to see, can we get away with him on main roster? If so, let's just move him to the main roster.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason I think he should be here. Not that he deserves it or anything like that.
Yeah.
I just think this is purely an experiment to see, can this guy work on main roster without us, getting shouted at.
Yeah, no, exactly. He does come with a ton of baggage. But I get what you're saying, like the ignorance is bliss type of thing, right? Like at that point, you're kind of thinking to yourself, who's most of the people, do they know? Like, do you know that? You know what I'm saying? Because he obviously sees that people that know about that or watch NXT are kind of the smarter marks, right? So he knows that they know about it more than like majority of the fans that, well, not majority of the fans, but a lot of the fans that watch the main roster stuff. So it makes a lot of sense. It's like, yeah, we could probably get away with it. But again, he has boatloads of talent, like you said, charisma. Remember what John Cena said about him all those years, a few years back, that he's the future of the business. Makes a ton of sense. Tremendous character. He's one of those guys who has that, how could I put it? Like that Shawn Michaels attitude that Vince likes so much, where he's kind of a dick, but like Vince likes
make money from him.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah, he can make money from him. Yeah. We did have a comment real quick from James Wheeler. If Becky Lynch is a surprise entrant in the Women's Rumble, I would be so happy. James, so would a lot of people, because a lot of people miss her a lot, and I think the overall feel of the women's division, at least on the main roster itself, hasn't felt the same since she's been gone. But tomorrow, I put WrestleManiac's YouTube link on in the chat, so sign up to his and subscribe to his channel. Tomorrow, we're going to be dropping our video. I believe we're doing another live stream on his channel for female Royal Rumble, the women's Royal Rumble, surprise entrance on there, and who knows, Becky Lynch could be somebody on that list. Make sure you tune into that tomorrow afternoon. If you're in the US, it should be around 3 p.m. East Coast time. Yeah. So yeah, back to Velveteen Dream though. That's an interesting take that he could show up. One last thing with Velveteen Dream.
Why they can get away with it as well is because it's a Royal Rumble. He's not going to win it. There's going to be another 29 people in there. So the attention is not a singles match. It's not a triple threat match. The attention is not going to be just on him. So yeah, the most attention is just when he comes out, right? That's the only thing that really attention. And maybe he does a couple elbow drops or a couple, Dream Valley drivers and stuff like that. But yeah, it makes sense. I mean, because you're right. If it's anybody else, most likely, or a smaller name or somebody that didn't have so much invested in, they're out. They're gone. They're gone. Especially nowadays, there's zero tolerance for a lot of this stuff, and that would be out of the door. But they obviously feel that he is money. That's basically it. It comes down to the dollars in the end, and they feel like they make a ton of money with him. I think they can. Redemption stories, it's always a good thing. You'll give people second chances, whatever the case may be. I hope they do what they have. And that you're talking about that run with Kushida and Ciampa, right? He lost out a lot in that, right? He got beat almost all those matches. He kind of felt like the third wheel a little bit in that whole thing. And he didn't really feel that great in that spot. But it could have been maybe like a paying of the dues type of spot where he just takes a few L's. They were putting Kushida over big in that feud. But at the same time, I think that was them reintroducing him to NXT, and the crowd said no. The crowd said, we're not having this guy because of everything else he's done in his past. We're not having it. So it's main roster's turn to try have him, basically. Exactly. And remember where he was before in that match, that parking lot brawl match against Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. It felt like he was going to win the championship at that moment, but obviously the baggage outside of the rings will cost him that. And you're right, they probably did bring him back as like a test. Let's see if people remember. Let's see if people care really. And they did. They honestly did. So they're going to try it with probably a new audience, and hopefully they don't care as much. But Velveteen Dream, I've always been a fan of him. Hopefully he can kind of make his way back. Let's get to the next person on here, and it is somebody I brought up as somebody that could be coming back in the same vein as James Wheeler bringing up Becky Lynch. We have the father of the child of Becky Lynch is Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah, or the Friday Night Messiah before he left. The man who went on the longest feud of all time with Rey Mysterio, and one of the most outlandish ones of all time. It felt like a Attitude Era-esque angle where it's just so ridiculous with the eye being poked out and the terrible fake eye that Rey Mysterio has sticking out of his head for a little bit. But I think Seth Rollins can come back. Again, I made the Rumble prediction video a few weeks back. He's one of the guys on there I picked as it was a Rumble Mania prediction video. So he's one of the guys I picked that could face
Roman Reigns at WrestleMania for the Universal Championship. They want somebody big to face Roman, especially this way Roman is currently in his new role as like the top guy in the company, top heel. I could see Rollins coming and winning. He's 2 years off of winning the Rumble. He's not going to win it, but he can come, show up, make a surprise return to the company. I don't know if WWE has the same like kind of maternity leave or paternity leave as like every other company in the United States. So maybe, I don't know if his time is up kind of when it comes to paternity leave, but it's about time he comes back. Hopefully he does and shows up for the Rumble, and then makes a claim for the Universal Championship against Roman, because that's like the most logical for me storyline they can go with, either Roman Lesnar or Roman Rollins. The only logical storylines that make any sense for SmackDown other than the obvious, which is The Rock.
Yeah. I do think it's I think we're going to see Rollins. I think that's 100% given.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the best choices we've made from our list. And is he going to get the big match with Roman? I think that is the question. You know, they've got tons of history, so they've got loads of stuff they can draw back to. Will he have dropped the savior or the Messiah gimmick?
Yeah.
Will he be the face and be like, you know, Roman, this isn't you and stuff? I was gassed once upon a time. You know, I believed my hype. You know, you got to come back to your senses. And then Roman obviously big dogs him, sort of thing. And then that leads us all the way to Mania. Who knows? But I think, it's very possible that the father of the man's child is gonna show up. I think Becky Lynch is still going to be on the side for a bit longer. Obviously she's just given birth, and apparently she's already like retraining to get back into the ring and stuff like that. But Rollins, I'm sure he's kept himself very sharp, and I think there was even rumors that he was meant to return earlier on this month.
Yeah, there was rumors. I think there was like advertisement that he was coming back to SmackDown, but then they canceled it.
Yeah. So I think this is a better time than ever to put him in there. I think they've announced 17 of the men that are going to be in the Rumble, so there's another 13 or so that are going to pop up, and for sure he has got to be one of them.
Which I hate when they do that. I hate when they announce people beforehand. Like, they announce like 2 or 3, but I used to love the event itself at Rumble with the rolling canister with the balls, so they would come get it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because you get a lot of funny interactions between people. It's a good way to get other people on television, on screen, and you have somebody. It used to be Vince doing it all the time. You could have somebody else doing it. And actually, I wouldn't be like mad if they brought back John Laurinaitis, to be honest with you. Get his raspy voice back in there. But it'd be pretty interesting. I mean, you could do a Bruce Pritchard or something like that. But I hate when they do announce people like beforehand. Maybe just a couple big names you can, like in a promo segment, like I'm declaring for the Rumble type of thing, like Edge did. Impassionate promo by Edge, tremendous promo by him to announce that he's coming to the Rumble. But interesting stuff there. Yeah, I can see Seth Rollins coming back. I mean, I think it's about time he comes back. You know, who knows? He can come back here, come back to the Rumble, and just restart the feud against Dominic and Reagan.
Please no. Please no.
That's definitely something that could happen. That's definitely something that could happen there. But that is our list right there. You know, of our 9 people that we're choosing as surprise entrants for the men's Royal Rumble match. And then tomorrow we got, obviously on your channel, we're gonna do a live stream of the women's Rumble match and surprise entrants for that as well. Your link is in the chat. I'll put it in the description after the video is done, after it posts to YouTube. But yeah, some interesting choices there. I think the most interesting of all is Jay White. I think by far that's the most interesting one, because it will be akin to when AJ Styles came. Now,
if Jay White turns up, Twitter will go mad tomorrow or Sunday, should I say?
They will go insane.
It will go crazy.
They will go insane. But again, if you bring him in, I don't know if that guy is gonna be okay on the main roster out the start out the rip. It's just Vince doesn't know about any of these guys, right? These guys before, he doesn't know anything. Not that he may know, but he doesn't care whatsoever what you did before you showed up. Remember when AJ showed up, he gave him that whole Pitbull gimmick, like, you're the mean Pitbull, you gotta show me that. And then eventually he saw that he's probably the best performer he's seen in the ring since Shawn Michaels, right?
Literally.
At that minute, like when he saw that, like that match against Jericho at WrestleMania, because after that WrestleMania, he immediately got into the title picture. So you saw those first few months from his debut at the Rumble to when he became, when he got into the title picture, those months proved to Vince McMahon that what he had there was a performer akin to Shawn Michaels. Jay White, I doubt he even knows Jay White, be honest with you. He may know the name, but not seen much of his stuff. He has people that do that for him and scout, but he has no idea what he's done, nor does he care. So I think he's probably best going to NXT, but this could be a great shot for him to make a big splash in the company and just show up in NXT afterwards. I think that's his best fit for him. I think he'll immediately rise to the top in NXT, and then eventually you can go up the road and pull him up to the main roster, which probably, if that happens, they had no idea what to do with him anyways in the main roster. So, you know,
exactly.
Because you see the creative on Monday Night Raw, they have no idea what to do with most of the guys on the show.
At all.
Real quickly, before we end the stream, let's jump in. Who do you think? Give me three men that are your favorites to win the Rumble. Realistically, three people, yeah.
So like we said earlier, Lesnar, I think Lesnar for me it's like he's staring me in the face. It's blatantly obvious like he's going to win. A lot of people saying obviously he's done wrestling. He's not going to come back, but I'm going to say Lesnar. I'm going to say as an outside shot, AJ Styles. You know, I said a bit earlier, my little Bullet Club dream of him facing Finn Balor. So AJ Styles, because he's been kept really strong recently. And unfortunately, I'm going to say Goldberg. Okay. If he loses to Drew McIntyre in their championship match, there is nothing stopping Goldberg's turning up in the Rumble, winning, and going over to SmackDown and getting that match with Roman that we're seeing a lot of promo for online between these two, making fun of each other's spears and stuff like that, bringing in Georgia Tech College. Look, I don't want to see it, but I think Goldberg could win this as good as anybody.
That will be absolutely insane. Okay, so we're assuming now. Another thing I hate WWE when they do is when they have the Rumble not finish the show. We've seen that happen before, like when Ray won in 2006. The final match was, I think it was Mark Henry versus Kurt Angle. That's the way they closed out the show. So I don't think they're gonna do that again this year. But you're right, because if Drew McIntyre wins, we may get Goldberg in the Rumble, which would be a travesty, and the whole world would probably do the collective slap on the head when they see him in there. But it's totally possible. I can see Vince doing it, because again, he doesn't believe in a lot of guys he has. Whether he has merit or not, you know, it could be just him being stuck in his ways and being the person that he is, or honestly, maybe the guys just don't have what he's looking for, and he goes back to the well with these guys before.
Doesn't trust them.
Yeah, exactly. But you said AJ Styles. I'm such a huge AJ Styles fan. I have been for such a long time, and I'm dying for him to win a Rumble. So when it comes to me and three people that I pick, I would have to say I'm still going with Keith Lee. Even though he's been gone for the past 2 weeks. I don't know what the story is. I don't know if you've heard anything about why Keith Lee's been gone for the past 2 weeks. I was hearing some rumor about he's been working on his promos at the Performance Center. I like the way he carries himself and the way he speaks.
He's fine.
Yeah, and the way his promos, his cadence, the way he talks, I like it. It's something different.
He's different.
Yeah, exactly. It's something different, and I still pick him as my favorite right now. Number 2 is going to be Edge, because the promo that he cut, the fact that he's coming back announcing beforehand that he's coming back and he's in the Rumble. He has so many issues left with Randy Orton, which could cost him the match, to be honest with you. But I could see Edge as well, another guy. And 3, I'm picking AJ Styles because I love AJ Styles, man. I just want AJ Styles to win, and I want AJ Styles to hold every championship possible. But it would be awesome to see that happen, especially AJ, maybe a meeting between AJ and Adam Cole in the ring, AJ and Finn Balor in the ring. A lot of cool stuff they can do with it. But yeah, that's the video we got for you guys. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to WrestleManiac's channel. It's in the chat. I'll put it in the description below as well. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. And stay tuned for tomorrow. We're going to drop the live stream on WrestleManiac's channel, Mech's channel. So stay tuned for that one. And those are our 9 superstars that we think maybe is a surprise entrance in the Men's Royal Rumble. So we'll catch you guys next one. Catch you guys down the road.
Peace.